各位觀眾大家好，歡迎收睇26分鐘見證實錄之與黨領對話。第45屆加拿大聯邦大選將會喺4月28號舉行。我哋喺上個星期已經透過同聯邦新民主黨黨領組面成，以及聯邦綠黨共同黨領美意嘅專訪，幫助觀眾更加清晰咁了解新民主黨同綠黨喺今次大選之中唔同議題嘅立場。喺今集嘅第一部分，我哋就會同聯邦保守黨黨領博勵治 Pierre Poilievre 對話，了解佢對於本國目前面對一系列嘅挑戰，包括經濟、住屋、移民等議題嘅立場。Mr. Poilievre 你好啊，好多謝你接受我哋今次嘅專訪啊。
Great to be with you. Thanks for the invitation.
根據最新嘅民意調查，自由黨黨領卡尼上台之後咧，聯邦自由黨嘅支持率咧係一直有回升㗎，削弱咗保守黨之前嘅領先優勢。你認為係乜嘢推動到呢一種轉變呢？你有啲乜嘢嘅策略嚟到重新爭取支持啊？
Well, my strategy is to focus people on the choice that they have on election day, which is that after a lost liberal decade of rising costs and crime and a falling economy that's under America's thumb, do the Liberals deserve a fourth term? Or do we think that it's time to put Canada first for a change, with a new Conservative government that will axe taxes, build homes, lock up criminals, stop the drugs, and produce our resources so we can stand up to the Americans from a position of strength for a change? That is really the choice.
好明顯啊，加美關係係目前選民咧最關注嘅重點之一啦。但係有評論就認為，特朗普目前嘅一系列操作似乎一直為卡尼加分。你點樣睇目前加美關係嘅狀況？你又有啲乜嘢嘅應對方案啊？
We need to repeal the anti-pipeline law C-69 that will allow us to dig mines, build LNG plants, including here in British Columbia, sell our oil to other countries outside of North America. We need to cut taxes. I've announced that I will be taking, it's called the Canadian Reinvestment Tax Cut. And it works like this. If you reinvest your capital gains in Canada, you pay no capital gains tax. This is going to be a powerful incentive that's going to be like rocket fuel for our economy to lift off and soar over the Americans. Our investors will be massively incentivized. Instead of sending the money abroad or buying themselves a boat or pulling their money out for good, reinvest it in Canada, pay no capital gains tax, open a business, build a shopping center, a mall, a restaurant, a factory, an assembly line, a pipeline. That's the kind of tax incentive we need to unleash the strength of our economy and stand up to the Americans from a position of strength.
自上任以嚟啊，卡尼推出咗多項嘅政策啦，例如係取消碳稅、改革移民政策，又或者係加快房屋建設等等。呢一啲嘅政策啊，同保守黨先前嘅競選重點其實非常相似㗎。有一啲評論就認為佢係效法緊你嘅做法，但係與此同時卻係令到你嘅政黨失去咗同佢哋區分嘅一啲空間。你對呢方面有啲乜嘢回應啊？
Well, first of all, he hasn't done any of those things. He's talked about them. Let's take the carbon tax. He has not gotten rid of the carbon tax law. He's just removed the tax from the gas stations for the period of the election. But the law is still in place, so he can put it back on right afterwards. He has years of publicly supporting carbon taxes and encouraging the tax to be increased. And he will increase the tax and bring it back if he leaves. Remember, the Liberals had this tax in place for 7 years. And they demonized me when I said we should get rid of it. So 28 days before an election, they hide the tax at the pumps. No one should believe them. Then you have housing. He hasn't built any housing. He's made more promises, but Liberals have been promising affordable housing for 10 years. And in that time, all they've done is double housing costs. What they need is a real change. With the Conservative Party that has been promoting these policies all along. I said I will get rid of the sales tax on new homes to save you up to $65,000, incentivize our municipalities to free up permits, speed up approvals, free up land so that we can build 15% more every year, train more young tradespeople to build those homes, and sell off more government land and buildings to convert into housing.
咁取消稅收一直都係保守黨政綱嘅核心之處啊！你能唔能夠介紹一下呢？你嘅政黨喺今次選舉之中所提出嘅具體減稅建議啊？咁同埋另外，你話要取消資本利得稅嘅計劃，將會點樣可以惠及到所有加拿大人，而唔係單單只係富有人呢？
Yes, good question. So we're going to cut income tax by 15% for the average worker and senior. So the average Canadian earns about $55,000 to $60,000. They will pay 15% less income tax. So for a working couple or a retired couple with a couple of pensions, they will save $2,000 in income tax. And it is targeted to in the lowest tax bracket. So everyone will benefit, but the lower income people will benefit proportionally the most. Waitresses, barbers, baristas, other people who make modest but respectable incomes will have a boost to their take-home pay because of this conservative tax cut. On capital gains tax. So what I'm proposing is to get rid of capital gains tax if you reinvest in Canada. When people eventually cash out, though, when they sell their investment for good so that they can retire or maybe they want to go abroad or whatever, they will then pay the capital gains tax. By that time, there'll be more gains to tax. So the government will actually get more, but later. In the meantime, businesses will grow and reinvest. All of that capital will compound and build the strength of our economy.
保守黨喺今次嘅選舉之中啊，推出咗邊一啲嘅具體方案啊，去針對國民嘅生活可負擔性方面嘅情況啊。對於呢住屋，你又承諾過啦，話取消130萬元以下新屋嘅貨爐稅，但係咁樣啊，對於多倫多同埋溫哥華等高成本城市嘅負擔能力，能夠產生啲乜嘢影響呢？
The answer is that we have the most expensive governments. 60% of the cost of a new home in Vancouver is government. Taxes, fees, charges, delays, lawyers, accountants, lobbyists, consultants all take up $1.2 million of cost for every newly built home in Vancouver today. So we have to slash the bureaucracy and taxes. By getting rid of the federal sales tax on new homes, you will save about $65,000 right there. Then I'm going to incentivize municipalities to speed up permits, free up land, and cut development taxes. Third, I'm going to sell off 15% of federal buildings and land for home building. And fourth, I'm going to back 350,000 new training positions in trade schools across Canada so that we have the carpenters, electricians, and plumbers needed to build the homes.
你之前啊，雖然曾經表示過要對中國採取更加強硬嘅立場，但係現時啊喺加美關係緊張之際，你會點樣繼續維護加國利益嘅同時，平衡同中國之間嘅經濟連結同埋潛在合作關係呢？
Well, my whole campaign is around putting Canada first. We don't seek conflict with any country. Any country that wants to deal favorably with us will find a friend in Pierre Poilievre. We can't accept foreign interference, or incursions into our water or our airspace, unfair trade practices. And so we will stand up for Canada, stand up for our industries and our democratic sovereignty. We'll have a professional diplomacy with the world that puts Canada and our national interest above and beyond everything else. That's what we have to do. It's clear that that's what other countries are doing, and for too long, we in Canada have just been walked all over by a whole series of countries, and most recently by the United States as well. But we can't put up with that any longer. We need a strong country with a strong defense that keeps out foreign interference.
你曾經表示啊，移民數量啦應該係要同加拿大喺住屋啦、醫療保健同埋基礎設施方面嘅承受能力咧係互相配合㗎。咁並且啦提到啊，要降低每一年嘅移民目標。咁保守黨政府啊，其實係依據邊一啲嘅具體指標嚟到決定所謂嘅適當移民水平呢？
This has caused a shortage, and it's not the fault of the immigrants themselves. They're just, they're applying and they're coming in, and when they arrive, there's no house. So how do we solve that? Well, we get back to the same common sense immigration we had before the Liberals. We basically say, look, if the housing stock in Canada grew by 1.5% last year, well, the population must grow by less than 1.5% this year. Plan, it's published every year, when they sort of set how much are we going to let population growth go up. And I would basically take last year's growth in housing stock, employment, and the availability of doctors and nurses, and I would ensure that population growth is always below those things.
你曾經表示支持清理香港救生艇計劃嘅積壓個案，並且話加快永久居民申請嘅處理速度啊！咁你將會採取啲乜嘢嘅具體措施嚟到實現呢一個目標呢？而喺整體嘅移民系統之中啊，你會點樣去優先處理呢一啲嘅申請啊？
Our backlogs are holding up decisions at the immigration department. We have more bureaucrats than ever before, and yet they take forever to process these backlogs, and I want to demand higher standards for processing times, quickly reviewing the applications, finding people who are capable of starting businesses here, filling jobs that Canadians cannot fill, use the express entry system. Express entry is a great system that targets immigrants who have high skill levels to fill job vacancies for which there is no Canadian to do the job. And I think you will find that a lot of Hong Kong immigrants or emigrants from there, immigrants to here, would fit in nicely under the express entry program. So that's how I see it playing out. But let's build on the success we've had in the last 40 years, particularly on the West Coast.
有倡議團體就擔心啊，咁喺通貨膨脹同生活成本上升嘅情況之下，以目前嘅老人保障金計劃 OAS 同埋收入保障輔助金計劃 GIS 咧，支持都係不足㗎。你會唔會考慮增加呢啲嘅福利啊？
We're definitely going to continue increasing OAS, GIS, and CPP in line with inflation. We'll keep the retirement age at 65. It will not be raised. One of the things that I have proposed for working seniors is to remove the penalties that they incur when they go out and get a job. So what happens is they get a job, they start paying income tax, payroll tax, and a number of other taxes. Then they get clawed back on their GIS and eventually their OAS. So a lot of them say, well, what's the point? You know, I'm trying to make a contribution. I want to have a few bucks in my pocket, but the system punishes them. So I've said I will allow seniors to earn up to $34,000 tax-free. That's $10,000 higher than it is right now. It'll put almost $2,000 in their pocket. In addition to the lower income tax rate, this will mean that it's much more beneficial for those who choose.
你支持嚴厲打擊犯罪嘅方針啊，咁包括對於芬太盧販毒者同埋主犯啊判處終身監禁。咁你認為啊，咁樣係咪就真係可以能夠解決到目前加拿大毒品同藥物過量嘅危機啊？
Yes. Look, 40 milligrams of fentanyl, it's like a speck of dust. It's enough to kill 20 people. This is extremely lethal stuff. If you are selling over 40 milligrams, it's like you're firing a gun into a crowded stadium. You might not know who you're killing, but somebody's going to die. So I want to treat fentanyl producers and traffickers like murderers and give them a life sentence. They should never get out of jail. And they should know what they're doing, because they know what they're doing. They know they're killing people. Secondly, we have to stop giving out tax-funded opioids, this so-called safe supply. It's not safe. It's being resold to our children, who are then getting more addicted and graduating up to fentanyl and dying. The drugs, these drug dens, they call them injection sites and consumption sites, they have been a nightmare. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop giving out tax-funded drugs. We're going to ban the drugs, lock up the traffickers, secure the borders, and we're going to invest in treatment and recovery. Today I announced that I will put aside the money for 50,000 Canadians to get drug rehabilitation and treatment. And the money will only go to treatment centers whose goal and achievement is to get people completely off drugs. So we're not going to fund organizations that keep giving people more drugs or keep them in their habit. It will pay the organizations for their success in getting people drug-free.
如果今次嘅大選呢係出現咗少數黨政府，保守黨會唔會考慮同例如非人政團或者新民主黨合作嚟到組成聯盟政府，又或者係以信任供給協議嘅模式去合作
？I don't see a coalition, no. What I do see is that can you find common ground on specific ideas? You know, if I put forward, for example, I want to take the sales tax off new homes. So I would put in a bill in the House of Commons, and I would go to the other parties and say, you know, if you can agree with this, vote with me, let's take sales tax off new homes. Or, you know, the idea of banning drugs, go to the other parties and say, listen, I've got a bill to ban drugs, invest in treatment. Vote with me on this because it's what the people want, and we can pass that together. Or, you know, maybe we can convince the other parties to come along with my idea on lowering income tax. So you put forward the idea, and you get enough support from the other parties to pass the idea.
Mr. Poilievre， 再一次多謝你接受我哋今次嘅專訪啊！
Thank you for having me. It's been a lot of fun.
聽過聯邦保守黨黨領博勵治就本國經濟發展、住屋政策、家中關係等議題嘅睇法之後，下一節我哋會去了解自由黨喺今次大選之中嘅政綱重點。歡迎返嚟26分鐘見證實錄之與黨領對話。喺大選正式開始之後我哋已經同步向新民主黨、綠黨、保守黨同自由黨發出黨領專訪邀請。經過多番嘅聯絡同安排，自由黨至今仍然未能夠安排到黨領卡尼 Mark Carney 接受我哋嘅專訪。喺呢一節嘅節目之中，我哋就整合咗自由黨喺今次競選期間嘅宣佈，總括一下聯邦自由黨嘅政綱。嚟自政壇以外背景，曾經任加拿大中央銀行同英倫銀行行長嘅卡尼 Mark Carney 為自由黨選戰領軍。喺今次大選之中，卡尼以經濟專家嘅形象登場，嘗試爭取中間選民支持。到底佢嘅理念同政綱係咪足以說服加拿大人給予佢執政機會呢？
I'm a pragmatist. I'm not a career politician. I'm trying to become a politician, not for a career. Just to be clear. But as a pragmatist, when I see something that's not working, I change it.
作為政壇新手，卡尼不斷強調佢嘅務實風格，而唔係堅持特定嘅政治立場。喺多場公開演說中，卡尼將呢一場選戰描繪為保護加拿大主權嘅關鍵時刻。佢直指美國特朗普政府嘅貿易行為同政策輸出對本國構成壓力。
The U.S. wants our land, wants our resources, wants our water, wants our country. What's happening is these tariffs, these threats, with them, President Trump is trying to break us so that America can own us. I have every confidence in Canadians because I understand what President Trump does not. Canada is not just geography. With our plan, we will build Canada strong, Canada free, Canada forever independent of the United States.Canada worthy of its people.
卡尼提出自由黨未來4年嘅施政方針將會聚焦本地化嘅經濟韌性同資源掌控，當中包括能源戰略。佢主張喺減碳嘅同時，優先使用加拿大本土能源，減少對外依賴。強調本國唔能夠依賴美國輸入能源，應該積極發展本地產業，維護能源安全。
Its approach that is defined by 3 objectives. Energy security first.This means using Canadian energy to displace imported energy, including energy imported from the United States.
喺國防方面，佢主張推行加拿大製造嘅採購制度，強化本地軍工生產。
Today I'm announcing our plan to build the tools needed to ensure Canada's sovereignty, to support a new approach to made in Canada defence procurement.While helping our industries and businesses reach new markets around the world.
經濟方面，卡尼提出自由黨近年最進取嘅經濟方案之一。佢強調要壓縮開支，同時大膽投資未來產業。
We're in an enormous crisis, so we have to be able to do 2 things. One, pull down on that wasteful spending, which we will do. But much more than that, we need to be bold and drive investment in the economy and take the amazing opportunities we have as a country. Everything from building homes for our young people through to building new trade partnerships around the world based on our incredible people, talents, and resources. And we're going to do both. And that is how you meet the moment. That is how you meet a crisis. And that's what we can do. And while we're putting forth the most ambitious economic plan in decades to do more than just get our economy back on track, but to build the strongest economy in the G7, Pierre Poilievre's mind is focused elsewhere. His priority for Canadians is to bring back plastic straws. Plastic straws. Thank God. That'll show Trump. That'll show the Americans. We got our straws, yeah.
呢一段説話引起唔少關注。卡尼以諷刺嘅方式批評保守黨只係聚焦表面議題，忽略咗國家經濟轉型嘅根本需要。而喺就業同技術方面，佢提出將會提供中年轉職以及再培訓津貼。
Today I'm announcing that my government will launch a new sector-specific mid-career training and upskilling benefit in priority sectors: manufacturing, construction, tech, and artificial intelligence.
喺具體措施方面，自由黨提出將針對高需求領域提供轉職支援，特別係建築、科技、人工智能 AI 等未來導向產業，協助中年勞動人口重返職場。喺公共安全方面，卡尼強調槍械問題必須嚴肅處理，明確反對引入美國式鬆散槍械文化。
Criminals are trying to illegally import guns to Canada. Pierre Poilievre is trying to import irresponsible American-style gun laws into our country. You can't be serious about being tough on crime if you're not willing to be tough on guns. You can't be serious about stopping intimate partner violence without being serious about gun control. When we know from our own tragic history how often guns are involved.
佢亦批評對手喺槍械議題上嘅模糊立場，強調自由黨會持續推動槍械管制與執法資源投入，防止暴力事件重演。而佢提到加美關係嘅時候，亦都多次強調加拿大人嘅尊嚴。
We need that strong mandate because, let's face it, President Trump is trying to break us so that America can own us. That will never happen.
進入選戰最後階段，卡尼前往卑斯省發表對本地經濟同房屋問題嘅睇法，並且喺造勢活動之中向選民發出明確訊息。
We will build things in BC again. We will grow BC's forestry sector while protecting it from Trump's tariffs. We will end the housing crisis.
佢亦都批評保守黨博勵治嘅政綱係唔實際。
He's offering Canadians a fantasy of fiscal tricks and phantom growth. This is the time for experience, not experiments. These numbers are a joke. We aren't in a joke. We are in the worst crisis of our lives. It takes a serious government. It takes a serious plan. It takes a plan that delivers today. It takes a plan that delivers investment. It takes a plan that grows this economy, stands up to Trump, and moves forward.
而面對佢能否帶領自由黨組成多數政府，雖然未有明言，但就不斷強調希望獲得強大嘅授權。
I'm asking for a series of single votes from Canadians for a Liberal Party that is determined to build the country if we're given that honor. In this crisis, do we want to meekly accept what the Americans want? Or do we want to stand up for ourselves and for each other? You stand up.
好啦，經過兩集26分鐘見證實錄之與黨領對話之後呢，希望呢一系列嘅訪談能夠幫助到選民更加清楚認識各黨嘅施政方向，喺投票嘅時候作出明智選擇。如果觀眾呢對我哋嘅節目有啲乜嘢意見嘅話，係好歡迎大家以電郵嘅方式同我哋聯絡㗎。我哋嘅電郵地址係 mag26@fairchildtv.com。如果觀眾想上網重溫今集節目，亦都可以上到去我哋嘅網站3w.fairchildtv.com 點擊節目重溫一晚。下星期同樣時間再同大家見面，晚安。